Chapter 73 of The Plum and the Golden Vase. Chongzhen edition of the embroidered portrait. Pan Jinlian recalls playing the flute without anger. Simon Kingshan tries on the white silk belt. The word says, "Call me passionate." Recall passionate. Who calls me passionate? Calling someone famous is abhorrent. Be passionate, become passionate, and die in a passionate mood. The relationship between teaching and cessation is serious. By the way, Earl Ying has gone home. Simon King was sitting in Zhongshanwu, watching the plasterers making the bricks, burn a fire outside the wall and place flowers and plants so that the common people will not be exposed to said smoke. Suddenly, Ping'an brought in the post and reported, Master Zhou of the Commandery Mansion has sent someone to deliver the distribution package. There were 5 packages sealed in the box. Zhou Xiaobai, Jingdu Supervisor, Zhang Tuanlian, and Liu Zhu, the 2 internal ministers. Each person has 5 stars and 2 rough handkerchiefs to express his congratulations. Simon Kingling went to the back and took the reply and sent it away. Let's talk about that day. Miss Young, Grandma Wu and Grandma Pan arrived first in a sedan chair. Then Aunt Su, Master, and Wang, 2 sisters-in-law, Maya Feng, and Sister Yu, all bought boxes and brought them with them. Yulu celebrates birthday. Yunyang was serving tea in the upper room, and all the sisters were accompanying her. After having tea for a while, everyone took their seats and sat down. Pan Jinlian thought about making a white silk ribbon with Simon King. So she walked into the room, took the sewing box, picked a piece of white silk, put the tincture in the magnetic box inside, and used a pouring needle around it. My son is very delicate in picking out the seams, preparing to celebrate the joy of clouds and rain with Simon that night. Unexpectedly, Aunt Su suddenly came into the room and gave him the medicine to treat fetal qi. The woman quickly took it away and sat with him. Seeing that there was no one around, Aunt Su handed it to him quietly and said, "Pick a Renzi who will be convinced every day. When he is with the officials in the evening, he will become a fetus after a while. Look at the great bodhisattva behind him too. The poor monk installed the fetus for him, and now he is half pregnant. Let me tell you a trick. Sew a brocade sachet, put the cinnabar talisman in it, and keep it with you. It will be a male fetus." Okay. After hearing this, the woman was filled with joy, took the medicine and hid it in the box. Looking at the calendar, the 29th is the Renzi day, so he weighed 3 coins and gave it to him, saying, "This is nothing. Take it home to buy food and eat it. When the baby is born, I will find a piece of silk to make clothes for you." Aunt Su said, "Bodhisattva, stop worrying about it now. I am not as selfish as Monk Wang." Because the former Bodhisattva recited sutras, he said that I had helped his patrons to make trouble with me and used words to destroy my master. I would not let him fall into karma. Argue with him. I only do good things for others and save people from suffering. Mister, the Dharma is not taught to the 6 ears, but I am willing to tell him. Last year for the great Bodhisattva's happy event behind his back, he even said how much money I got behind his back, so I gave half of it to him. A monk who doesn't know the moral conduct and has a selfish mind. If you don't practice meritorious deeds after receiving the money and food from Shifang's benefactors, you won't be able to pay back the hair and horns when you die tomorrow. After replying, the woman told Chan Mai, "Watch tea and have it with Mr. Zhu." The girl had tea and went with him to Li Ping'er's place to pray for the spirit, and then returned to the back. At noon after the appointment, Yunyang placed a table in the Kang room and invited all the guests and 3 girls to sit on it. He also placed the 8 immortals table in the bright room, covered with a brazier, and placed wine on the table to celebrate his birthday with Meng Yu upstairs. After a while, the wine was filled with wine, and the jade cup was held high. Meng Yulu, dressed in pink makeup and jade, first handed the wine to Simon King, then greeted the sisters and sat down at the table. Chen Jingji and his eldest sister celebrated their birthdays with Yulu again. After the ceremony, they sat down next to them, replaced the longevity noodles and snacks in the kitchen and bring them out together. When everyone was having a drink, Lion put a box in and said, "Yinger Nying is here to send a favor." Simon King asked Yunyang to collect it, and asked Lion to say, "Send Yinger Nying a post, please. Yinger Nying. Dad and uncle are here to sit down. I know his wife won't be here tomorrow. Please ask your second father to come and sit down. We can return the favor to him someday. Sitting on it, Simon King remembered that last year there was sisterly on the birthday of Yilu. Today, he is the only one missing from his 5 wives and concubines. He couldn't help but feel sad in his heart and shed tears in his eyes. After a while, Li Ming and little Yer came in. Yunyang asked, "Can you sing by Yi Cheng Lian Li?" Hans Wo Dao, I remember, little one. Just when he picked up the instrument to play and sing, Simon King called him closer and ordered, "You sing a set of Yi Kua Shao, let me listen." The 2 young actors quickly changed the tune and sang Ji's Yan Beni Bao Shao. Where is the beauty, and sang he took off my Hunan skirt and covered the azaleas with blood. When Pan Jinlian saw this word being sung, she knew that Simon King missed Li Pinger. When he sang this line, he deliberately put his hands on his face at the banquet, a little bit to embarrass him, and said, "My child, the Shu Baji is walking and sitting in the cold bunk. Why are you so ugly? How can a married woman, not a daughter, come to ask for blood on azaleas? What a shameless traitor." Simon King said, "It's weird, slave. Just listen to the song. I don't know anything about it. The branches are tearing off leaves." I saw the 2 young actors singing again. A prime minister is pregnant with a beautiful girl, and he suddenly throws it away. How can I follow the evil and break the wallflowers again? Keep your head down and listen carefully. After singing for a while, Pan Jinlian was no longer angry with him, and the 2 just started bickering at the table. Yunyang was a little disdainful and said, "Sixth sister, you are too impatient. Why are the 2 of you just trying to be strong?" And Yang and his eldest daughter-in-law are left in the house, deserted, and no one is with them. You go in with 2 of them. Sit down and I'll come. Jinlian and Li Jiar then went to the room. After a while, Lion came and said, "Yinger Nying's post has been delivered. When her dad is here, my uncle will come." Simon King said, "Did you ask master when to come and sit down?" Yin said to Yunyang, "You tell the cook to bring out the dishes, and I will sit with him in front." He also called Li Ming. "You go in front and sing." Li Ming followed Simon King out and went to the west wing to sit with the count. He also thanked him for his kindness and said, "Please order me to come and take a walk tomorrow." The earl said, "He's afraid that he won't be able to come because there is no one at home." After a long time, when Shu Kai arrived and bowed to sit down, the earl raised his hand and said, "There are many tired old gentlemen in the morning." When Shu Kai said, "How dare you?" Uncle Wu also arrived. After giving up his seat, a boy with a piano came and held a candle, and the 4 of them sat down around the stove. Come to Anna and put the Chongzhen wine on the table. Under the lamp, the earl saw Simon King's white silk coat covered with a green satin multicolored flying fish python, with teeth and claws, a majestic head and horns, a beard and a mane, covered with gold and green, coiled on his body. He jumped and asked, "Brother, where did this dress come from?" Simon King stood up and said with a smile, "If you look at it, where do you think it comes from?" The count said, "How can I guess?" Simon King said, "Where is this in Tokyo?" The eunuch gave it to me. I was having a drink at his house, so he took out this piece of clothing to wear with me because he was cold. This is Fayu. Since the court also gave him a python dragon jade belt, he gave it to me because he didn't want to wear it. This is a big score. The count boasted, "This fancy dress is worth a lot of money. This is a sign that I will be promoted to governor tomorrow. What's more, I won't have a jade belt. Fayu, I'm just going to cross the border." As he said that, the piano boy put down the bell and chopsticks and brought up the wine. Li Ming played and sang in front of him. The earl said, "It's better to go in and pass a glass of wine to the 3rd sister-in-law. How about eating wine?" Simon King said, "My son, since you have a filial heart, just kowtow to the 3rd sister-in-law behind and say what's wrong with him." The earl said, "It doesn't matter if I kowtow, because I'm afraid it will make people think I'm being disrespectful. So you might as well kowtow for me." Simon King hit him on the head and scolded him. "You're such a talented dog. You can't do it alone." The count said, "You're too big to teach the children to fight." After the 2 joked about it, Kin Tong brought Jiangsu noodles, and Simon King let the 3 of them eat. Since he was eating at the back, he gave it to Li Ming to eat. After Li Ming ate, he came up to play and sing again. The earl called Uncle Wu. "Tell him to sing the song." The uncle said, "Don't ask him to sing. Let him sing what he knows." Simon King said, "Uncle likes Wapener." As he asked the piano boy to pour the wine, Li Ming arranged the wild goose pillars with his zither, set the ice strings with his instruments, sang a set of making people speechless in front of the scene, and losing their beauty all day long, and went down. I saw Lion coming up to report. "Let's go to the cook's house. Please tell me, Dad, how many of you will be asked to agree tomorrow?" Simon King ordered 6 cooks, 2 tea and wine servants, and a total of 5 tables for the wine banquet. All must be ready. And Yingnua went. Uncle Wu then asked, "Who will my brother-in-law invite tomorrow?" Simon Qingshi told Mr. N that he would invite Magistrate Kaiju. Uncle Wu said, "Since the General Patrol will have a drink at my brother-in-law's place tomorrow, it will be fine again." Simon King said, "What do you mean?" Uncle Wu said, "It is still my matter of repairing the warehouse. It must be in the hands of the General Patrol. I hope my brother-in-law will talk about it tomorrow and teach him to have a bright future. When he completes the exam at the end of the year, he will recommend 1 or 2, which is a sign of brother-in-law's affection." Simon King said, "It doesn't matter. I will write a resume tomorrow. Let me tell him when I can." The uncle quickly came down to pay his respects. The Earl said, "Uncle, don't worry. You are the master of Duggan. If I don't speak for you, who will speak for you? You can't brag about the situation, and you can go up the pile with just 1 arrow." It was the second watch of the drinking in front. After they were separated, Simon King sent Li Ming and others out and said, "Come and wait for me early tomorrow." Li Ming and others accepted the promise. The boy took the guy in, and the upper room was crowded with people. When they heard the people in front of them dispersed, they all went to that room. But Jin Lian only said to go to his room, and was too panicked to go out. Not wanting Simon King to enter the Yemen, he hid in the shadows by the screen wall, watched Simon King enter the upper room, and quietly came to the window to listen. I saw Yu Xiao standing at the door of the main room, saying, "Why doesn't Wu Niang go in?" Then asked, "Why is Grandma missing?" Jin Lian said, "Old traitor, he went to sleep in the room because of the pain in his body." After a while, I heard Yun Young ask, "Why are you calling the 2 new little bastards today? They can't sing, but they just do 3 plum blossoms. You're the only one who can teach them. Singing you and Yang Puli and Kai, he listened to you. There are 2 cunning little bastards. I don't know their names. They are just being naughty here." Simon King said, "One is called Han Zuo and the other is Xiao Jin." Yu Niang said, "Who knows what his name is, keen or liar?" Unexpectedly, Jin Lian sneaked in, stood behind Nuan Kanger, and suddenly said, "You ask him?" The serious sister asked him not to call him. Singing, Ping Bai was trying to teach him how to sing Yi Kua Xiao, and the little bastard was confused and didn't know which one to follow. Yulu made a sound, turned around and saw Jin Lian, and said, "Where are you coming from?" "This 6th girl." Meng's words make me jump. "Are you always walking behind me?" Xiao Yu said, "Wu Niang is behind Sanyang." Just a little while, Jin Lian nodded and said to Simon King, "Brother, you are just a bit shy. I just don't know what kind of woman you are in the Prime Minister's house. You and I are just ordinary second marriage wives. Why did he take off the Hunan skirt and put the blood on the azaleas for you?" 3 officials sang too. "Who will come?" Sun Xiaoguanair asked Zhu Ji. "Nothing else. I don't do this, dare you say that? Since he died, there hasn't been any good food. Without Wang too, you can only eat shit every day. It's just that you don't care. A big sister who is in charge of the family can't support you. Kir is just for his own good. Why didn't you hold him back when he died? Come here. Now everything is not worthy of your heart. It hurts your heart to mention him. If you treat others as him, you will also like him. Is the water in his house delicious?" Yunyang said, "My dear 6th sister, as the saying goes, good people don't live long, and it will cause trouble for 1,000 years. Since ancient times, you and I are always late. If you don't like him, just let him say it." Jin Lian said, "It's not that we don't talk about him. What he said will make people angry." Simon King just laughed and cursed. "You little slut. Why did I tell you such nonsense?" Jin Lian said, "On the day I invited Huang Nai Guan, was it your fault that you didn't tell Yinger and Wen Manzi that your wife died? Well, even if he was here, it wouldn't be a big deal. Just help him up tomorrow and fight against him. "The thief has no shame," said Simon King, who jumped up and hurriedly took it. She kicked him with her boots, and the woman grabbed the door and ran away. Simon King rushed out without seeing him. He saw Chun Mei standing at the door of the upper room, so he put his hand on Chun Mei's shoulder and walked forward. Seeing that he was drunk, Yunyang was eager to send him to sleep in front of him to listen to the announcement of the book by the three girls. So he taught Xiao Yu to make a lantern and sent him to the front. Jinlian and Yu Xiao stood in the shadows under the corridor. Simon King didn't see them and walked over. Yu Xiao said to Jinlian, "I guess Dad went to his mother's house to take care of things." Jinlian said, "He is drunk and wants to start a conversation. Let him sleep first while I slowly go in." Yu Xiao then said, "Mom, wait a minute. I'll take some fruits to Grandma to eat." Then he walked to the bedroom, took some fruits and handed them to the woman. The woman took them and walked up to him. Xiao Yu sent it back and said, "Where is Wu Niang coming from? Dad is really not looking for Wu Niang." Jinlian went to the door of the room, but did not go in. She quietly peeked in through the window and saw Simon King sitting on the bed, hugging Chun Mei and playing together. Not wanting to disturb him, she hurried to the other room and gave the fruit to Kyuju. She asked, "Is Grandma asleep?" Kyuju said, "She slept for a long time." Jinlian told him, "Put the fruit in the dressing table." Then she went back. She saw Yunyang, Li Zhaoer, Meng Yulu, Simon's elder sister, De Jinzi, Yang Xiaonyang, 3 sisters-in-law and 2 younger sisters-in-law, sitting in the room. Sister Zhu sat cross-legged on Yunyang's kang. In the middle was a kang table with incense burning. Everyone gathered round him and listened to him talk about Buddhism. Jinlian smiled and came in through the curtain. Yunyang said, "You got into trouble. So he went to the room to look for you. If you didn't send him to sleep, why did he come again? I was worried that he would beat you in the room." Jinlian smiled and said, "You ask if he dares to beat me or not?" Yunyang said, "What you said at the beginning was too hasty. He is a drunkard and must have been angry for a while. If he didn't beat you, would he beat a dog? I was worried about you. You are such a scoundrel." Jinlian said, "Even if he is angry, I'm not afraid of him. I don't like those third-rate people. They don't teach me to sing the song ordered by the serious sister, but they plow the ditches in the east and raking the ditches in the west and sing about their worries. Even if it is a good day for third sister Meng today, they shouldn't sing these words of farewell. People don't know where they have died, but there are those who pretend to be compassionate and filial. I don't like them." The eldest aunt said, "You sisters have messed up this time, and I don't like them. I don't know why he came. My uncle came in and sat down peacefully. Why did he leave again?" Yu Niang said, "Auntie, you don't know yet. That one came thinking of elder sister Li, saying that he was there for third sister Meng's birthday last year, but not this year. So he shed a few tears and taught Xiao Yuer to sing a set of Remembering the Flute. Where is the Jade Girl?" This one was not angry that he sang this lyrics, and just now he rebuked his father a few words. The one who rebuked got anxious and kicked and hit him, and the thief laughed. Miss Young said, "My sister, you just followed the master to teach him to sing. Why did you rebuke him? I believe that every time you see your sister, she is fine, but today only Sister Li is missing. How can a man not feel sad?" Meng Yulu said, "Good grandma, if it were me, who would be angry about his singing? My sixth sister always knows the taste of this song, but seeing that praised elder sister Li, she is more than ancient who is not as good as him. How can we have such a deep friendship and swear to each other that you will do it for me, and I will do it for you?" This stubborn girl was not convinced and just kept on retorting him with words, making a mess for half a day. Miss Young said, "My sister is so smart." Yu Niang said, "He doesn't know any song, but once he starts singing, he knows the end. Like when I asked my singing wife and little actress to come, they just sing it out. But he always says that the part he sings is not right, the sentence he sings is bad, and the section he sings is missing. But when his father says a song, he starts to argue with him and has to get angry before he stops." Meng Yulu joked beside him, "And, you don't know, I had 3 or 4 children and only this girl is so clever." Jinlian smiled and hit him, saying, "I am doing you a favor. You have no rules." Miss Young said, "Sister, please let the master say something from now on. As the saying goes, 1 night of marriage means 100 nights of love, And 100 steps of companionship also means lingering. A hot and cold person is like a finger missing. Is there anyone who doesn't miss her, doesn't care about her, and doesn't miss her? Jinlian said. Why don't you miss her? She has a constant time. She is usually your wife. Why do you want to kill her? She just blames us for not wearing mourning for her. She is not a mother-in-law. She just wears mourning for the 7th day of mourning. How long do you care about wearing it? Miss Young said. Sister, you can see her half and not see her half. The eldest sister-in-law said. It's so fast. The 7th day of mourning has passed. And the 100th day has come early. Miss Young asked. When is the 100th day? Yu Niang said. It's early, on the 26th day of the 12th lunar month. Aunt Wang said. You have to recite some sutras. Yu Niang said. It's so close to the festival. Why recite sutras? His father can only recite it during the new year. As he spoke, Xiaoyu brought a cup of tea, one for each person. After a while, they finished eating. Yu Niang washed her hands, lit incense in the stove, and listened to Master Zhu's talk about Buddhism. Master Zhu first recited a verse and told a story about a Zen master who broke his precepts and played with a girl named Hong Lian, and was reincarnated as Dong Po Foyan. He talked for a long time before he stopped. Lang Sheng came from Yulu's room and brought a square boxes of delicate vegetarian dishes, fruit plates, tea snacks and desserts, and put away the incense burner and placed them on the table. Another pot of tea was served, and everyone and the 3 masters ate together. Then they brought some meat and rice, opened a jar of maga wine, and everyone drank around the stove. Yunyang and Dejinzi played dice to grab the red. Jinlian and Li Zhaoer played guessing games, and Yuxiao poured wine beside them, and played the spinner under the table for Jinlian. After a while, she won several cups from Li Zhaoer. Yulu said, let me guess with you. Just focus on winning him. But she wanted Jinlian to take out her hands, not to put them in her sleeves, and not to let Yuxiao come near. She won several bells in a row against Jinlian. Jinlian couldn't sit still, so she left. After calling for a long time, the corner door opened, and Kyuju was seen rubbing her eyes. The woman scolded, You thief! Are you asleep? Kyuju said, I'm not asleep. The woman said, I saw that I was asleep, so you coaxed me. If you were free, don't say you will come back to pick me up. Then she asked, Is your father asleep? Kyuju said, Dad has been sleeping all day. The woman went to the kang room, picked up her skirt and sat on the kang to warm herself by the fire. The woman wanted tea, and Kyuju quickly poured a cup of tea. The woman said, You thief, clean your hands. I don't like this old tea. It's soupy. Call Chunmai and ask her to bring some good sweet water tea in a small pot, with more tea leaves, so that it will taste bitter. Kyuju said, He is sleeping in the bedroom over there. Wait for me to call him. The woman said, Don't call him. Let him sleep. Kyuju refused and walked into the room over there. She saw Chunmai sleeping soundly at Simon King's feet. He shook her awake and said, My mother is here and Aunt's tea. Why don't you get up? Chunmai spit at him and cursed. You damn slave. My mother is here. Why are you scaring me for no reason? She got up, bowed slowly, and buttoned her trousers and came to see the woman. She just leaned on the king and rubbed her eyes. The woman cursed Kyuju in return. You slave. You were sleeping soundly, and I woke you up. She called him. The sweat towel on your head has jumped up. Why don't you pull it down? She also asked, Why are you only wearing one earring? Chunmai felt around and found only one. She lit a lamp and went to the bed to look for it, but couldn't find it. After a long time, she finally found it on the footboard and picked it up. The woman asked, Where did it come from? Chunmai said, He woke me up because he was startled and the hook caught me, so I picked it up on the footboard. The woman said, I was waiting for him to wake up, but he thought he was calling you. Chunmai said, He said Mom wanted some tea. The woman said, I want some tea, but his hands are not clean. Chunmai quickly scooped a small pot of water, sat on the fire, and asked him to put some charcoal in the fire. In a moment, the tea was ready. She cleaned the cup, lit it thickly, and handed it to the woman. The woman asked Chunmai, How old is your father since he went to bed? Chunmai said, I sent him to sleep all day. When he asked about Mom, I said she was still behind and hadn't come yet. After drinking tea, the woman asked Chunmai, I took some fruits and candied fruits with me earlier. They were for Yu Xiao and your grandmother to eat. I asked the servant to bring them in. Did you take them? Chen Mai said. I didn't see them. How could he know where they were? The woman called Qiuju and asked where the fruits were. Qiuju said, I put them in the dressing. She went to get them. The woman counted them and found that one tangerine was missing. She asked where it was. Qiuju said, I put it in the dressing when I brought it in. How could someone with a gluttonous stomach eat it? The woman said, You thief servant. You are still slurring your mouth. If you didn't steal, where would it go? I counted them and gave them to you with my own hands. How could one be missing? It turns out that I was only being filial to you. She told Chen Mai, come with me, and slapped that servant 10 times on one side of his face. Chen Mai said, that filthy face didn't make my hands dirty. The woman said, pull him over to me. Chen Mai pushed her head with both hands and came to the woman. The woman pinched her cheeks and cursed. You thief, you stole the tangerine. Didn't you? Tell me the truth, and I won't beat you. Otherwise, take the horsewhip and I'll beat you until you peel it. Am I drunk? You stole it and fooled me all the time. So she asked Chen Mai, am I drunk? Chen Mai said, I'm sober. Why did you ask for wine? If you don't believe me, just grab his sleeves. There may be tangerine peels in his sleeves. The woman then pulled his sleeves and tried to grab them with her hands. Qiuju panicked and held her back to stop her from grabbing. Chen Mai pulled her hands up and really pulled out some tangerine peels. The woman pinched her face twice with all her strength, slapped her mouth twice, and cursed, You thief, you don't know anything, but you know how to talk and steal. You've been caught as a real criminal. And you're still blaming that? I won't beat you now before or after tea or after drinking. I will settle accounts with you tomorrow when I am sober and clear my mind. Chen Mai said, Mother, don't be so rude to him tomorrow. Peel him off and have someone beat him with dozens of boards so that he can bear the pain and be afraid. He won't take the monkey-like sticks seriously. Qiuju's face was swollen from being twisted by the woman, and she went to the kitchen with her mouth choked. The woman divided the tangerine into 2 halves, took out a pomegranate, handed it to Chen Mai, and said, This one is for you, and the other one is for Grandma. Chen Mai didn't even look at it, took it and put it in the drawer. The woman also wanted to divide the candied fruit. Chen Mai said, Mother, don't divide it. I'm too lazy to eat this sweet stuff. Leave it for Grandma. So the woman didn't know what to do, so she stayed. The woman went to the bucket to relieve herself, and asked Chen Mai to come in and sit in the bucket. After washing her vagina, she asked Chen Mai, How much time is it now? Chen Mai said, I have slept for half a day, and it is already 3 o'clock in the morning. The woman took off her headdress and walked to the bedroom. She saw that the silver lamp on the table was dim. She lit it again and looked at the bed, where Simon King was snoring. So she untied her silk belt, took off her xiang skirt, got on the bed, got into the quilt, and slept with Simon King. Not long after falling asleep, she touched his waist and touched his penis. After playing with it for a while, she couldn't get up. It turned out that Simon King and Chen Mai had just had sex not long ago, and his penis was soft and couldn't be moved eagerly. The woman had wine in her stomach and was as lustful as fire. She squatted under the quilt and sucked on the penis with her mouth. She teased the frog mouth and swallowed the glands, just keeping going back and forth. Simon King suddenly woke up and said, You little slut. Why did you come so late? The woman said, I was drinking in the back, and Meng San arranged 2 large square boxes of wine and food. Sister Yu sang, and we played dice. We played all day, and I beat Li Jiar and got her drunk. I lost several cups of wine when I was behind Meng Saner and me in the game of 5-piece guessing. You are so lucky that you can keep me company by sleeping here. Do you think I will obey you or not? Simon King said, Have you prepared the belt? The woman said, Isn't it under the mattress? She reached out and took it out, showed it to Simon King, tied it under the handle of the whisk for him, tied it round his waist, and tied it tightly. Then she asked, Have you eaten it? Simon King said, I have eaten it. After a while, the thing started to eat the woman, and it jumped, stretched straight, and stretched more than half an inch more than usual. The woman climbed on top of him, with the glans erect, and fanned the vulva with both hands to put it in. After a while, It penetrated into the vulva. The woman put her hands round Simon King's neck and asked Simon King to hold her waist and rubbed it, and the thing gradually sank to the root. The woman called Simon King, "Dad, take my waist and put it under your waist." Simon King took his big red silk bodice from the head of the bed, folded it in 4 places, and used it to pad his waist. The woman lay on top of him, and after a few rubs, the thing was completely in. The woman said, "Dad, feel it. It's all in. It's full inside. Are you comfortable?" Simon King touched it with his hand and saw that it was completely inserted to the root, with only the testicles left outside. He felt an indescribable sense of comfort in his heart. The woman said, "I am so anxious, but it is cold. We have to use a lamp to do it, and it will be too late in summer." So she asked Simon King, "Is this belt better than the silver tray? It hurts my vulva and it has grown a lot. If you don't believe me, touch my belly and you will feel it." She said again, "Hold me and I will sleep on you after I ejaculate." Simon King said, "My son, you sleep. Dada holds you." The woman put her tongue in his mouth and held it, with misty eyes, and hugged his shoulders. After sleeping for a while, she couldn't help the burning desire and her heart was in turmoil. So she put her hands on his shoulders, raised and lowered him, pulled him up to the head and then to the root, saying, "My dear, that's enough. Your ass heart." They went back and forth for another 300 times. When the semen came out, the woman only cried, "My dear father, hold your waist tight." She taught Simon King to suck her nipples, and she fainted for a while, and her vaginal fluids flowed down, and the woman's heart was beating fast. Her limbs were immediately limp, and her vagina was in disarray. The penis was still as strong as before when it was pulled out, and the woman wiped it with a handkerchief and said, "My dear father, what's wrong with you?" Simon King said, "Let's play after I wake up." The woman said, "My body is already limp and hot." Then the clouds and rain stopped, and the two of them lay side by side, legs crossed, and pillowed on the bed, not knowing that the east was already white. It is just like this. Try to look into the silver mirror, a pair of people born to be together.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.